There is no single story of Africa. These words, spoken by the brilliant Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, resonate deeply when we talk about the vast and diverse continent of Africa. Her insight challenges us to look beyond the surface and explore the depth and breadth of African experiences. Africa, with its 54 countries and thousands of ethnic groups, is a land of myriad stories, each one unique and important, from the bustling markets of Lagos to the serene landscapes of the Serengeti. Every corner of Africa has a tale to tell. The continent is a mosaic of languages, traditions, and histories that have been woven together over millennia. To confine Africa to a single narrative is not only inaccurate, but also incredibly unjust. It overlooks the struggles and triumphs of its people, the innovations and contributions that have shaped the world. African activists, artists, and leaders have continuously broken barriers and redefined what it means to be African in a global context. It robs the continent of its rich history, its vibrant cultures, and the multifaceted experiences of its people. From the ancient pyramids of Egypt to the rock-hewn churches of Ethiopia, Africa's historical monuments stand as testaments to its enduring legacy. The cultural dances, music, and art forms are expressions of the continent's soul, reflecting the joy, sorrow, and resilience of its people. It perpetuates harmful stereotypes and limits our understanding of this complex and fascinating part of the world. Misleading media representations often paint a monolithic picture of Africa, ignoring the continent's diversity and dynamism. However, African scholars, educators, and storytellers are reclaiming their narratives, providing a more nuanced and authentic portrayal of their homeland. By listening to these voices, we can begin to appreciate the true essence of Africa, a continent of stories, each one waiting to be heard and celebrated. Too often, Africa is portrayed through a narrow lens, focusing on poverty, conflict, and disease. This portrayal is not only incomplete, but also misleading, as it fails to capture the full spectrum of life on the continent. The media often highlights these negative aspects, creating a skewed perception that overshadows the positive developments and achievements happening every day. This simplistic narrative ignores the progress, innovation, and resilience that also define the continent. Africa is home to a burgeoning tech industry, with startups that are making waves globally. Modern cities with impressive skylines and bustling economies are a testament to the continent's growth. Entrepreneurs are driving change, creating jobs, and fostering a spirit of innovation that is transforming communities. It's like reducing the story of an entire human life to a single fleeting moment of sadness. Imagine if your life were judged solely by your worst day, ignoring all your achievements, joys, and experiences. This is what happens when we allow a single story to define an entire continent. It strips away the complexity and richness of human experience, leaving a distorted and incomplete picture. The single story of Africa is a dangerous myth. It perpetuates stereotypes and hinders understanding. African children are excelling in schools, cultural festivals are vibrant and diverse, and the landscapes are breathtakingly beautiful. These are the stories that need to be told, stories that reflect the true essence of Africa. It creates a false sense of homogeneity and erases the immense diversity that exists within the continent. Africa is a mosaic of cultures, languages, and traditions. Each ethnic group brings its unique flavor to the rich tapestry of African life. From traditional clothing to diverse cuisines, the continent is a celebration of variety and individuality. It's time to move beyond this limited perspective and embrace the multifaceted reality of Africa. We must recognize and celebrate the achievements, creativity, and resilience of its people. By doing so, we can foster a more accurate and respectful understanding of the continent, one that honors its past, acknowledges its present, and looks forward to its future with hope and optimism. From the bustling Medinas of Marrakesh to the vibrant music scene in Lagos, from the ancient pyramids of Egypt to the wildlife-rich plains of the Serengeti, Africa is a continent bursting with cultural richness. Each country, each region, has its own unique traditions, languages, and beliefs. To speak of a single African culture is like speaking of a single European culture. It simply doesn't exist. The continent is a tapestry woven from countless threads, each one contributing to its vibrant and intricate design.
Understanding Africa requires acknowledging its complex history, marked by both triumphs and tragedies. It's a history of ancient empires, of trade and cultural exchange, of colonization and its lasting legacies. It's crucial to engage with this history honestly and critically, recognizing the resilience of African people in the face of adversity. We must move beyond simplistic narratives and delve into the nuances of the past to gain a more accurate and comprehensive understanding of Africa today. Section 5. The Transatlantic Slave Trade. A nuanced perspective. The transatlantic slave trade remains a dark chapter in human history. It spanned over 4 centuries, forcibly uprooting millions of Africans from their homeland and subjecting them to unimaginable suffering and dehumanization. The sheer scale and brutality of this trade left an indelible mark on the world. While it's essential to acknowledge the role of European powers in this atrocity, we must delve deeper into the intricate web of interactions that sustained it. European traders and colonial powers were the primary architects, driven by economic gain and imperial ambitions. However, it's equally important to address the issue of African complicity with nuance and sensitivity. Some African leaders, driven by their own political and economic interests, engaged in the trade. They saw it as a means to consolidate power, acquire wealth, or eliminate rivals. The slave trade was a complex system fueled by greed and power. It wasn't a simple narrative of oppressors and victims. It involved a myriad of actors with varying motivations. The European demand for labor in the New World created a market that some African leaders chose to exploit. Some African rulers, unfortunately, participated in the trade, seeing it as a way to strengthen their own positions. They engaged in wars and raids to capture slaves, which they then traded for European goods such as guns, textiles, and alcohol. Often coerced or manipulated by European powers, these leaders found themselves entangled in a system that was difficult to escape. The Europeans, with their superior weaponry and strategic alliances, exerted significant pressure on African societies. It's crucial to avoid generalizations and recognize the diversity of experiences and motivations among Africans during this period. Some resisted fiercely, while others saw collaboration as a means of survival. Understanding this complexity helps us appreciate the full scope of this tragic history and its lasting impact on the world.
Section 6. Reclaiming African Narratives. For too long, African stories have been told through external lenses, often perpetuating stereotypes and distorting realities. It's time for Africans to reclaim their narratives and share their experiences on their own terms. African literature, music, film, and art are powerful mediums for challenging stereotypes and offering authentic representations of the continent. By supporting African artists and engaging with their work, we can gain a deeper understanding of the diversity of African experiences.
Section 7. Western lenses on African literature. The imposition of Western critical theories on African literature can be problematic. While these theories may offer valuable insights, they should not be used as the sole lens through which to interpret African narratives. African literature has its own unique aesthetics, themes, and traditions that deserve to be appreciated on their own terms. It's essential to approach African literature with cultural sensitivity and avoid imposing external interpretations that may not resonate with the context in which the works were created.
Section 8. Beyond the Savannah and the Stadium. Western media often portrays Africa through a limited lens, focusing on wildlife, safaris, and athletic prowess. While these aspects are part of the continent's identity, they represent only a fraction of what Africa has to offer. Africa is home to bustling cities, thriving tech industries, and a young, dynamic population driving innovation in various fields. It's time to move beyond the stereotypical images and recognize the diversity of talents and aspirations that exist across the continent.
Section 9. Intelligence, an unfair measure. The notion of intelligence often gets distorted by cultural biases. Applying Western-centric intelligence assessments to African populations is not only inaccurate, but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes. Intelligence manifests itself in various ways, shaped by cultural contexts and lived experiences. It's essential to recognize and value diverse forms of intelligence and challenge the notion of a single universal standard.
Section 10. Embracing complexity. Understanding Africa requires embracing its complexity. It's a continent of contrasts, where ancient traditions coexist with modern advancements, where challenges are met with resilience and creativity. To truly appreciate Africa, we must move beyond simplistic narratives and engage with its complexities, contradictions, and nuances. It's in these nuances that we discover the true richness and beauty of the continent. Section 11, a call for understanding. Let's challenge the myth of a single African story. Let's celebrate the continent's diversity, engage with its history honestly, and appreciate the richness of its cultures. Let's approach Africa with curiosity, respect, and a willingness to learn. Only then can we begin to understand the true essence of this extraordinary continent.